Hello, Unity friends. Well, it's the beginning of Advent. Anybody there know what that means? What is Advent? What does it mean to you? And I don't know how you've traditionally looked at it, so I'm kind of going out on a limb here today to see how we're going to approach this. And not knowing you any better than I do, it's like we'll see if we can learn something together maybe. So as the first Sunday in Advent, so in the Christian calendar, Advent is the 4 Sundays before Christmas. And it's derived, the word itself is derived from a Latin word. Guess which word? What would you guess based on your understanding of Advent? What do you think the word derived from? Arrival or coming? The coming or arrival, the coming of the Christ, the coming of Christ, the coming of Christ, the becoming, maybe, the becoming this. It's a time of discovery, a time of preparation. It's a time to prepare for our own spiritual rebirth. Does that sound exciting or tormenting? Some people call me their mentor, others call me their tormentor. So either way, that if it's a time for a spiritual rebirth, that some of us will go, yeah, I want a spiritual rebirth. And it's like, well, no, I don't want that if I'm going to have to work at it, or if I have to surrender, or if I have to forgive, or if I have to make amends or reconciliation or be the first to reach across the aisle. It's like, no, thank you. Let them do it first. But yeah, what if that is what it's about? That, and then as we together here collectively in our community prepare to celebrate the birth of Jesus, Christmas, and we open our hearts, our own hearts, to the Christ consciousness in a very new way, not a theoretical way, not a metaphorical way, but in a very new way, that our hearts, my heart is open today for a new understanding, new wisdom, new insight, new relationship, new realizations, new revitalization through the coming of the Christ consciousness as me, through me, for me. And then Unity teaches the divine consciousness that dwells in me, that's already, innately and inherently equipped for this. And then I'm a partner in this, a co-creator then to bring this to expression. So the potential there, and then there's some co-creating, some willingness, perhaps some cooperation required of me to bring this forth. So think about, many of you may have a wreath up, the Advent wreath, or the wreath. If we looked at from an Advent perspective, is a circle that represents our infinity, our infinite way of being, no beginning, no end. And the evergreen typically represents the eternal, the eternality of us, infinite and eternal. And then every week of the Advent season, some of us light a candle. So you may light purple candles for the first 4 weeks, first 3 weeks, 1 per week, hope, faith, peace, and love. And then on the 4th Sunday, sometimes a pink candle is lit, representing joy. All in preparation for the coming of the Christ. So I'd encourage you not to get too wound up about what color I'm lighting and what day is it and what week is it, and get more in the spirit of this, and to see if this ritual of Advent and this season of Advent could be something that ignites you, that inspires you to deepen this. So it'll be a favorite time of year for some, and it'll be a very non-favorite time of year for some, based on culture, based on history, based on losses, grief, the remembering of what's been lost, who's not here, what has happened. And that it's important, I think, for me, maybe some of you, to care for the whole human spectrum of this. So that if somebody's not all that excited about this, maybe their tails are not wagging over this holiday or Advent or hope, which is the topic of the day, they may not be in touch with hope. maybe out of touch or even foreign to the notion of hope, and that we honor that I honor that I allow people to be where they are in their experience. And then one of my friends says, let me mind my own becoming, MYOB, mind your own becoming. So maybe that'll apply to you today. So as we enter together here in this Advent spirit that we have opened then today to be a beginning of a message of hope, of faith, and to light an inner candle of hope, regardless of the situation you're in, regardless of the circumstance you're in, regardless of how difficult or challenging this time may be, or this last year or two may have been, to see today, even in all of that, whatever's happening, I'm lighting a candle of hope and faith within myself. That's the place that I can make some hope. That's the place I can put even a speck of hope in there. And then in doing so, I'm awakening the qualities within me to begin to prepare myself through this season for a conscious connection to hope, a conscious connection to faith, a conscious connection to peace, a conscious connection to love, and a conscious connection to joy, in preparation for the birth of the Christ as me, within you. So see if you can pause and check in, and if you're willing to light your own internal candles for this Advent season, for hope, faith, peace, love, joy. So hope is a big word. I stopped using it a few years ago because I was aware that I had a lot of false hoping. You know what I mean? Hope that's non-realistic, like I'm 6 feet tall and weigh more than any of you. And it's like saying, oh, I hope I weigh 100 pounds by Christmas. Well, that's not hope. That's insanity. So hope, though, is an expectation of good, and expecting something good, expecting things to turn out good, expecting to have something good to happen. It's an antithesis, however, though, of the fear mind that's prone to and patterned for believing something bad will happen. Something bad will happen, something awful will happen. So one of my commitments through this Advent season is to stop awfulizing. Stop awfulizing. So even if it doesn't go my way, even if it doesn't turn out the way I had in mind, I'm not going to awfulize it. I'm going to check in, get the lay of the land, and relight my candle of hope that something good can come from this. Something good is happening in this, and I'm on it. I'm going to be watching for that. So I'm developing then and caring for the quality of my mind and the way my mind is going to operate. And that then the hope is a certain knowledge that there is God, that it is of God, and that this goes beyond our understanding, that it goes beyond time and space, that it goes from a deep inner knowing, that which when we're willing to pause and seek a divine gaze, show me, God, show me, show me, show me. When I seek the divine gaze, then I'm going to be met with a divine gaze. Hope can be a way of our being, a way of being in the world, and not only a way of thinking, but a way of expressing. And there's a passage in one of the Advent booklets, so hopefully y'all have some of them. This was one from one of my colleagues from a on Advent past, and he says most Christians focus on hope during the first week of Advent. In unity, perhaps, inspired by the view that faith is the assurance of things hoped for, from Hebrews 11. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. We can contemplate both hope and faith as we spiritually prepare our hearts. So faith in things that I can't see, faith in what I don't know yet, faith in what is not unfolded yet. And for me, a conviction to keep moving in that direction. So in the Revealing Word, which is Unity's primary textbook, our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, made a distinction. And he says, quote, hope is the expectation of good in the future. So it's like it's subject to time. Faith is the certain knowledge that our good is ours right now. That faith goes beyond time and space. So maybe if we can think about it as a hope and faith continuum, a spectrum, a hope and faith continuum, that hope arises when we glimpse a new possibility. And then these glimpses inspire us. They make us change. They make us take action. They make us, through an impulse, to go towards something. It can motivate us then to adopt new ways of being, to adopt new ways of thinking, new ways of behaving, new ways of being with our family, particularly during the holidays. And then that said, then hope tends to be sometimes affected by a desire for reality to be different than it is. So that's not what hope is for me. I just know if I'm not careful, that's what hope becomes. That my hope gets burdened by a desire for things to be different than there is. And then it's based in a 3-year-old, very childish, not childlike, but childish understanding of what it is. Like, I hope Santa brings me just what I want for Christmas. And instead of, or I hope I don't get sick, for example. But even that is tinged with doubt in my body's natural state. And it's tinged with concern, fear, doubt, and worry that recovery is possible even. So I'm encouraging you and hopefully inspiring you too to increase your hope during this season, starting right now, today, to increase your hope on this continuum and to enter into a bigger realm of belief, a bigger realm of faith. And that we believe because we have an intellectual understanding of how something works, we may also believe what we've been taught, which is still in one of my coaches says, Martha, that's in your bones and your blood, the things that we've been taught. Others would call it the subconscious or the unconscious. So the challenge is that it's possible that there's contradictory beliefs running in relation to how hopeful I am or how much hope I have. So resolving this contradiction is our domain, I believe, for Advent, to resolve these contradictions. And it's in the spirit of a new dimension, a spirit of a willingness to activate these powers that we can, I believe, experience faith, hope, and faith in a very new, powerful, very powerful masterclass, superpower kind of way. So as we pause, imagine lighting a candle of hope in your own heart and allowing this quality of hope to rise, to grow, to expand as we redevote and rededicate our lives to building this Christmas spirit for ourselves. And that this Christmas season is absolutely about us accessing the quality of the presence of God in us and as us, and being and expressing that presence of God in our interactions and in our relations and in our communication and in our conversations. And as we open up to this new revived activity of God, this coming, we open ourselves to a deeper abiding faith. So what would it be like if our intention was to live out the spirit of goodness throughout the season? What would that be like? This is the season. This is the season. So when we're willing to be still, to fan the flames of this candle, to dive into hope, to uplift hope, to care for our hope, grounded hope, faith-filled hope, just what our souls are longing for, I believe. A greater experience of this, a greater level of this, and a new energy about this, a new energy that's going to go on in us and therefore is going to go on in our community, going to go into the world. That's a blessing to us and a blessing to all. I am willing to be fully blessed. Can you say that with me? I'm willing to be fully blessed. I'm willing to be hope for myself. I'm willing to be hope, the energy and the power of hope. I'm willing. I'm willing to be hope for humanity and to keep my hope for humanity lit and well cared for. And I'm willing to keep this the center of my spiritual life through Advent. Meister Eckhart said, a 13th century monk said, the birth of Christ is always happening. Have you noticed? And what do you fail to notice if you stop this or stop believing this? The birth of Christ is always happening. And he went on to say, but if it happens not in me, what does it profit me? If it happens not in me, what does it profit me? You are the reason for the season. You are the reason for the season. You are the Christ consciousness born today again, as you in you, Christ love, Christ wisdom, Christ faith, Christ consciousness. And as we open this sacred place, I join you. I uplift you. I bow to you. I thank you. I'll see you along the way. If I can serve you in any way, get directly in touch with me. Bye for now.
MarthaCreek.com if I can support you. Blessings.